Very good evening, everyone. This is Rajendran here, joining from Market Calls, and welcome everyone to a webinar on market profile versus volume profile. So this specific session, what we are going to talk about here is we're going to talk about what is exactly market profile, what is volume profile, which provides meaningful information, whether market profile provides meaningful information or whether volume profile provides meaningful information. When to use market profile and when to use market profile, and probably the Nifty and Bank Nifty market profile outlook and current running context. That is what we're going to discuss in this particular session. So before getting into the session, just give me a quick confirmation about the audio and video quality so that we can quickly kickstart with the session. Is the audio and video quality is good? There is a chat box over there where you can go and type your comments there. All right, thanks Neeraj, Kishore, Shrikanta, Ram Kumar, and Datesh, and everybody. So without any further delay, let me quickly kickstart with the session. So first of all, let's try to understand the basics here. This is the very basic session. If you are very, very new to market profile and new to volume profile, and you are in the experimental stage, I just want to know what is market profile, what is volume profile, which one I should trust. So that is for the people. I'm just trying to provide a more clarity on that. So most of the tools, right, it comes with market profile also, volume profile also. Let's try to simulate one particular day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to simulate the one of the day, 19th July activity. 19th July activity, because a very interesting activity day. Let's go and simulate how the price action happened on that particular day, and then we'll try to understand what is market profile and what is volume profile, which one I should recognize more. What kind of information I can grab from the market profile, what kind of information I can grab from the volume profile. So I'm going to zoom a little bit. I want to clear all those information that I had kept. So all the information, I want to clear it up. So I'll do one thing. I'm using NinjaTrader 8 tool. On top of that, I'm using Bell TPO tool here. So I want to disconnect the data feed, and on top of that, I want to connect the playback connection. I'm going to go and simulate the 19th July activity. And you know that market profile is made up of TPOs. Each and every letter here, what you're seeing in this picture, is made up of TPOs. So I'm going to run with a 2-point TPO in Nifty. Means every letter, whatever you're seeing here in Nifty futures, is particularly going to be with a 2-point TPO. That's a standard setting which I've been using in in most of my classes. I've been using 2-point TPOs. Let's wait for a minute because the playback will be set and we can simulate the market activity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate the market activity on 19th of July, and I'm going to explain how it makes sense, what kind of information that I should look into that. So I'm just running 19th July. So it takes a little bit of time to adjust to the timings, to simulate, to do the bar replay. And for the beginners, I'm going to give a small primer here. So the chart, what you are watching, is a Monday's activity. You know that Monday, what happened? Monday opened with a big gap down. You know that that is where that Delta variant virus issue started surfacing. And because of that, price opened with a huge gap down, almost some 200 plus points gap down here. Previously, as on last Friday, Nifty closed around 15,940 levels. It closed around where? 15,940 levels. So every day what happens when it comes to market profile, it generates a price distribution and also volume distribution. So what we will be seeing in Nifty is all about, we are having a price distribution here. So this is more of what? This is more of a price distribution. The letters, you are seeing a bell curve shaped structure. It is more of a price distribution. Next to the price distribution, what you'll be seeing is a graphical output of a volume distribution. Volume distribution. So the price distribution talks about nothing but price into time. And the volume distribution talks about volume into time. Now, if you're a beginner out there, you might get confused. What is, where the time is coming into the picture here? I'm seeing only one profile. And even in volume distribution also, I'm not able to see the component called time here. Where is the time here? So if you're asking such kind of questions, I'm going to explain what exactly it is. I want to simulate the last Friday's activity. So from the last Friday's activity, so here is the price action. So here is the market replay tool. I want to replay the markets at a market speed itself initially. I've just zoomed a lot as well. You see that there is a small hash letter that you are seeing here. That is where it tracks the current market activity. It tracks the current activity, where the market is right now getting traded. It's a last traded price, basically. So price opened, time is 9:30. Price opened with a big gap down, and it started rallying back up. In market profile, right, every half an hour, it generates a symbol or a particular character it can generate, or a particular letter it gets generated. Here, in my case, it is generating a letter A. Wherever the price action is happening, it's keep on printing the letter A everywhere. So every half an hour, a letter gets generated, and that letter will be used to visualize the volume distribution. And notice at this level what volume profile is doing. Price is tracking in terms of letters. So price, we are tracking the price here. We are tracking in the form of letters. And here volume, we are tracking in the form of histograms. Volume in the form of histogram. So different representation on both the cases. Histogram. If at all the same traded price is getting over here, the letters are not repeated, but it's not printing any new letters, by the way. If price is trading within the traded range, it is not printing any new letters. So every half an hour, the letter will be generated. That means 9:15 to 9:45, letter A will be generated. Letter A gets generated from 9:15 to 9:45. It tracks the price action from 9:15 to 9:45 in the form of letter A. Then letter B starts from 9:45 to 10:15. Now you might ask, what is the need to use letters? Does the letters carry any meaning? If you ask me, absolutely no meaning at all. But it gives a visual insights in terms of time. How much time a particular price level is getting spent. You will have a fair idea. So right now it is running at a market speed. I'm going to increase the speed 5 times from here so that you'll get to know maybe 6 times or 10 times speed I'll try to run. So I'm running it at 10 times speed here. So every second in the markets, 10 seconds of market activity is running. You know that still it is slow, dull, boring. Despite the big gap down, price manages to rise. How much it raised? From 15,740, it tested a low. So this is the low of the candle. Low of the candle. The letter O is the opening of the candle, opening of the first half an hour, and it went through a high. And here is the last traded price, LTP. The hash symbol itself tracks the last traded price. So instead of visualizing in the candlestick format, this is a different representation of the price itself. Now the question is why we are doing this? Why we need to, what is the primary reason behind why we have to visualize in the form of letters? Why need to visualize in the form of volume? Why we need to visualize the price? Anyways, candlestick is there. Bar charts are there. Heikinashi is there. Renko is there. What is another need to visualize the price action? Let me pause here because something interesting happened. Now time crossed 9:45. Once time crossed 9:45, you can see that the letter B started appearing here. So second half an hour started happening. Now here itself the time is coming into the equation. How? Notice here this particular price level, it got traded twice. So if I count this letters horizontally, it's one time here. Here if I count, it is two times here. Here also if I count letter A and B, it is two times. And here if I count, it is one time. And here if I count, it is one time over here. Now this is what we call as a frequency of occurrence. Frequency. How frequent that particular price is getting traded. Frequency of occurrence. Okay, so I'm not talking about any probability here. I am talking about where price is spending more in terms of time. So here two times the price got spent over here. So that is what we call as a price into time. So this particular price, maybe I can say like the price 15,818, it got spent two times around those levels. Whereas the price 15,770, it got traded into one time only. So this is price and this is time. Here 15,818 is price and this is time. How many times? I'm not talking about the clock. I'm talking about the number of occurrence. How many number of times that particular letter is getting repeated. So why it is more important? It is more important to know the market structure itself. It is very important to know about the market participants. It is very, very important to track what kind of traders are coming and trading these markets. So now, so far the time has been 9:45. I'm going to say like market had established a range, right? Market had established a high range and also a low range. Maybe we can say like day high, day low. Day high and day low. So we are having a day high here, day high, and we are also having a day low over here. Now, what is the reason I should watch this? There are a lot of reasons behind that. I'll show you what is the primary reason behind that, because last Friday itself, we'll get to know how do I know who is coming and competing. It's very easy to understand. Let me show you. So price opened with a big gap down. As I said, it's more than 200 plus points of gap down. And then immediately price went back up almost 100 points. Went immediately within less than half an hour, letter A period shot up by 100 points. So notice what B period is doing. B period was doing something very interesting here. By tracking the B period, what the price action it had done, you know what kind of traders came and competed over here. Let's see the price action. It's still slow only. I'll try to fasten up here. I'll try to go to some 20, 30 times here. Because if I'm going to run at this speed, maybe we'll be completing only by after 3 hours from here only. Notice that the B period runs from when to when? 9:45 to 10:15. What is the time now? 10:04. Notice that price went to the day high. Let me pause here. I'm going to ask a question here. What is the TPO I'm running here? What is the TPO I'm running? I explained the TPO size, right? Each and every letter we called as a TPO. TPO means time, price, and opportunity. Yes, exactly. 2-point TPO. That means every letter denotes 2 points of price action in Nifty. If the letter itself moving 10 times, what does it mean? 10 letters you are seeing. Let's say if you are seeing 10 TPOs, that means what? Into 2 is the TPO size, which is equal to 20 points. All right. So now you notice something. I said like B period had done something very interesting. I also passed over here around 10:08. Another 7 more minutes is left for the B period to complete. Here, price went to the day high. Notice that price went to the day high. It is like we know that it's a day high. Price went only 1 point above. Maybe it could went only 1 or 2 points above here. It went only one letter, right? You can see the letter A and B period. The difference is how many letters? Only one letter. Day high is established and price breaks the day high marginally by only one TPO and it started coming back down. Am I right or not? That is the B period price action, right? And it started coming down. And that is alone not a great impressive price action. Notice the price action. You will find more and more interesting things on that specific day. I'm just running. Maybe I'll increase the speed to 50 times because it will be very faster. So 10:15 is about to start. C period started. Notice what C period had done. C period also had done something interesting. C period, D period had done something very, very interesting things. So now what is happening? It is bring 3 times of activity here. You see that letter A, B, C. A, B, C 3 times over here. Day high is only 1 time. So C period was totally an inside bar to the letter B itself. Nothing much happened, basically. Totally nothing much happened. But still watch very closely. You could find very interesting things over here. What is so interesting about it? Let me do one thing. The D period here runs from 10:45 to 10:15. If you are watching the markets at 11:15, right? 11:15, letter E started. So I'll pass it over here. What is my observation here is I am finding the pattern very interesting here. What is so interesting about it, if you ask me? So notice that, let's say I'll call this as a period high. If I draw a line, you can see that B period went only 1 point above that. C period came only 1 point below that. This is A period, right? C period came only 1 point below that. Below the C period, D period high was only 1 point above that. So if I try to align it, I'll be seeing that this is B period high, A period high, C period high, and D period high. Am I right or not? If I try to align only the highs, the B period high high is at the top. I'll try to show you again. The B period high is at the top. That is B period high. B period high. Below the B period high, we have A period high. A period high. And below A period high, just 1 point, 1 TPO below that, we have C period high. C period high. And below C period high, we have D period high. Now, what kind of traders will do and sell like this? This closer, we are talking about a 2-point TPO precision. I'm talking about a precision of what? 2-point level. Such a tight selling, right? Such a tight selling happened on last Friday. I mean, this is last Monday. This is a high. Letter A made a high. Price went down. Again, B period went only 1 point above, but they got sold into that. Again, C period high came very close to the letter A period high. They got sold into that. D came very close to C period high. They got sold into that. And you can also see that more time is getting spent over here, almost 5 times now. A, B, C, D, E, total 5 letters. In terms of times, 5 times that particular price, 15,825, got traded 5 times. Day high got traded only 1 time. Maybe here it's 4 times. So where is the maximum letters price is getting traded? At around these levels. So what is the issue on last Friday? Is something which is so visual, right? This is something so visual, tight selling happening at a 1 or 2 point TPO levels. At every 1 point TPO difference levels, somebody is coming and selling. Now the question is, who are they? Question is, who are they who are watching this level and exactly coming and selling around those levels? What kind of traders they could be? Are they traders? Are they investors? Kishore is saying that they are big players and they are smart money. What do you think? Neeraj Kumar is saying intraday. Professor Verma is saying FIs. What else is your interpretation? Satish is saying institutional. Rajmani is saying short-term traders. Ramakrishnan Sen is saying passive traders, and Arun Bola is saying trading money. Of course, many people had interpreted that in a right manner only. See, let me tell you one thing. Let us say if I am an investor, think about that investor. I am an investor. I want to buy, let's say, Reliance, and I want to hold it for next 10 years. Do you think I will look into previous day high or today's high, and then I'll come and buy it? Or if the price is coming and reaching the today's low, only if the price reaches today's low, then only I will buy Reliance for next 2 years, because my target could be something like 3,000 or 3,500. Do you think investors will be thinking like that? No, right? Investors, when they want to buy, they simply go and buy it. Maybe they might be looking into some moving averages. They might be looking into some Bollinger Bands, or they might be looking into some fundamentals, or they might be looking into their advisories or some screeners. They come and buy it. Nobody is going to bother about, particularly investors, they are not bothered about today's high, today's low. But here we are talking about today's high. Something very visual, something very mechanical is happening over here. Definitely, it is not investors' behavior. It is more of a trader's behavior. Now, what kind of traders they do this kind of behavior? If you ask me, I'm not going to talk about FIs, DIs. I'm just going to talk in general. Typically, they are traders. They are traders. They're coming and selling. They are dominant traders. They can dominate. Precisely, they're coming and stopping the price at day high. After stopping, they are pushing the price to the other side as well. You know what happened. Everybody knows that what happened on 19 July. Price started coming down from there. Most likely, this is more of a dominant trader's behavior. They could be anything, anybody. They could be FII, they could be DI, they could be some prop trader. Ideally, they are some big trader. They are not big investor. They are big traders. How do you know? You know that they are big traders? Because traders, they trade levels. Investors, they trade value. Traders, they trade levels. If you ask any trader, where the market is going. They will be always saying like, if market cuts this level, market will be going to that level. Trader trades levels. Investors, they don't bother about levels. Their levels are different. They might be talking about returns. Maybe Nifty will be generating some 15% returns in the next 5 years. Or Nifty, maybe they might be always talking about big numbers. Most of the investors, if Nifty hits 16,000, maybe in next 1 year, Nifty could be trading around 17,500 levels. They're not focused on immediately. They're not focused about what is happening right now in the markets. But trader, they focus on what is happening right now in the market. That what is happening in right now tells you what kind of traders are competing in the market environment. Now we know that these kind of traders are mostly, it could be intraday trader. It could be intraday. Intraday, there are many times they come and trade like this, or they could be short-term traders. But ideally, they are traders. So in short, we call them as what? Trading money. So we really don't know what kind of trader it is. It can be intraday traders. It can be short-term traders. Ideally, we call them trading money. But remember, they are dominant traders. They can move the markets. They can hold the market at a specific price levels. And they can push the markets further down and down and down. They can take dominant in the markets. They can take a dominant position in the market by pushing the price down, by defending those levels. Somebody defended those levels multitude amount of times. And markets do have a memory towards those levels. Wherever traders' dominance are there, markets do have a memory to revisit that kind of levels later on. But immediately, who is controlling the market? Traders are controlling the markets. So that means we call that as an incomplete auction. And moreover, there is no tails over here at the top. There is no excess. So we call it as an incomplete auction. It is more of an incomplete auction. Oops. And market profile, you know that it talks more about the auction market theory. So we learned in terms of time, this is what price into time is all about. So that's what my point here is, price into time. Price into time. Almost 5 times this particular price got traded. Look at the volumes here. Because the price traded 5 times, that resulted in a volume activity. This is nothing but volume into time. More the time is getting spent, more the volume is getting formed over here. That is what volume distribution is all about. So this is price distribution. Price distribution, which is what we call as a market profile. In MP, we can call it as a MP in a very short term. In a very short form, we can call it as a MP. This is more of a volume profile, or we can call it as a VP or volume distribution. It talks about what? Volume distribution. It talks about the volume distribution at each and every level. So at this price level, what is the volume? At this price level, how much volume has been generated? This price level, since more and more traders are taking effort, many times that particular price has been coming and revisiting over there. Every time the price is getting revisited, it takes the volume here. What is the combined volume? If price trade 5 times over here, what is the combined volume? And that is what it is shown by the volume profile itself. Now let's see the Monday's price action here completely, and then we'll start looking into the other structures. And you know that there is a red color line which is there. There's a small word, orange color line, orange color stripe that you're seeing over here. That is where the more time price has been spent. So 5 times the price has been spent. So the software tracks of where more time is getting spent. That level we call as a point of control. Point of control over here. Again, notice that E period also came very closer to the letter A period high. Not one time, not two times, but not 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, price attempted to reach very close to the levels. Not even 5 times, 6 times, even F period also. Six times the price tried to reach the day high. 6 times the failure was being seen. Somebody was protecting those levels. See, we are started talking about times. That's the time I'm talking about. I'm not talking about 5-minute time frame, 30-minute time frame. Typically, every letter is getting generated every 30 minutes once. Every one day we'll get only one profile that talks about how the activities happened on that specific day. So let me pass here. Now, I guess you would have seen the level, how visual the levels are. If I try to draw a line at letter A period, B period was 1 TPO high. This is A period high. It is exactly 1 TPO below that. We have C period high also, E period high also. Even 1 point down below that, we have D period high. Even 1 point below that, we have F period high. This is how the highs has been aligned on that specific day. That means what? Price went up. It creates a high. Oops. It creates an A period high, come back, B period high, come back, and C period high comes back down. D period high just shy of C period high comes down, and then D period high comes down, F period high and comes down. Think about that, how closer the selling is happening. Very tight selling. Such kind of tight selling, if it is repeatedly happening, it is not happening one time. It is not happening 2 times. How many times? A, B, C, D, E, F. Total how many letters? 6 letters, 6 times. 6 times price got stopped very, very close to the day high. That is an information. That is an information that every trader, they need to know about that, what kind of traders they are. They could be smart traders. They are smart traders. They are defending multiple times, repeatedly, over and over and again. But they are traders. That is a meaningful, insightful information. Maybe they are dominant traders. They are dominating the market so far. But they are traders. Means what? Today they will buy. If there is a profit, they will book out and then they'll run away. That's how traders do, right? Do you think traders will trade like this and then they will be waiting for another 3 months? They will defend today and then they'll book profit after 3 months. That's how none of the traders will trade like that. You trade, there is 100, 200 points profit, they will book their profit. That is what traders do. None of the traders will be waiting for Nifty going to 9,000 or none of them will be waiting for Nifty going to 17,000 levels. That is very few traders, they do like that. Traders are sensitive to price. If there is a profit, they will book the profit. If there is a loss, they will book the loss. Yes, I agree. Very few traders, they will keep on riding the trend till the end. But when it comes to Nifty, something like that, it's very difficult. We have to be taking a very short-term opinion in the markets. Because market itself keep on fluctuating up and down and up and down and up and down. It keeps on fluctuating multitude amount of times. So if you are making a profit, one should learn to book the profits. If you are a short-term trader, and you should start taking different opinion. You should start taking a different opinion here in the markets. Now KK was asking, but at the point of control, why not the value is not highest? I'll come to that point. Okay, first let me finish this day and then I'll come back to KK's point. You can see that price started dropping down. So it's the same movie every trader watches. Everybody knows that where is the high. Everybody knows that where is the day's low, right? At least most, even big traders, they track all those things. We might think, what is there in that? Day high, day low. But big traders, there are many times they do take dominance from there. Sometimes they are weaker hand traders, sometimes they are dominant traders. So they are, till today, they are dominating the markets here. They're totally dominating. They're pushing the price at G period. H period, again, they started pushing the price down. That means what? So far they are dominating, right? They dominated. Even the day low also taken out. Fresh day low is made. So now what happened? A fresh day low is made at H period. So let me take a note of that. Fresh day low is made at H period. H period runs from when to when? H period runs from 12:45 to 1:15. Okay, so H period, it taken down the day low. Now, don't you think that this market has been manipulated? Don't you think that why somebody will have to come and precisely they have to come and defend at that half an hour high? That to not one time, not two times, not three times, not four times, not five, some 6 times they had defended. In a very tight band. The band length itself approximately 10 points difference. At a 10-point difference, every time the price is coming into the 10-point range, selling happened almost for 6 times. Now, if I look into the structure, now I can track the price distribution. Here you can see that it is 5 times over here. I mean, 6 times, almost 6 times, right? Yeah, 6 times over here. Here it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Here at the top, it is 1 time. Here it is 3 times. And here it is 2 times. And at the low, it is 1 time here. Notice that this is where the point of control is. POC. We call it as a point of control. POC. Where the yellow color, I mean the orange color shades are printed with a stripe, horizontal stripe. But notice that is the price-based point of control. This is what? Price-based point of control. Look at the volume point of control. Volume point of control is a bit different. VPOC. Now, if anybody is saying any terminology, right, you should ask, what is that terminology? What does that point of control means? Why do we measure a point of control? Many people having that question, right? If you're having that question, let me tell you what point of control is all about. To understand point of control, right, we need to understand a concept called fair price. To explain fair price, right, maybe I'll explain a very what Indians do, right? We are Indians, right? I'll tell you what we Indians do when we are purchasing gold. What we do? When you're buying gold, what do you do? Or if your mom or dad at least is going to purchase gold, what they do? At least I'll tell you what they do in my house. First, they go to the street where the gold is sold. You know that most of the gold jewelry places will be close nearby. Let's say there is 3 gold stores, right? So 3 gold store. I'll be going and inquiring the gold price at store A and then store B and store C. Let's say I'll call this person number 1 and person number 2 and person number 3. Person number 4. Likewise, we have 100 people. So all the people are going to do what? They're going to search which is the best rate. So what we'll do, first we'll go to this place and we'll inquire. Let's say they are saying like 4,500 per gram. I'm just giving an example, okay? Not necessarily it has to be related to the current market price. Current market price of gold, I haven't checked in the morning yet, but I assume somewhere near to that only. So B is saying, no, our place is a bit cheaper, maybe 4,480 is the our rate. That's what jewelry B is saying. And C is saying, no, our rate is even more cheaper. We sell at 4,450. Now, if you want to purchase, let's say, 10 gram of gold, where you'll go? Naturally, people will flock over here only. Many people will be flocking over here only. Let's say this is where many people are flocking. Let's say in terms of percentage, out of 100 people, 65 to 70 people flock over here because they would have done the searching. Now, some people, what they would have done? they would have went only to this place, to the shop A and B only. Some people, they don't want to search in all the places. Some people search in first place and then second place. They would have determined that, oh, this is the best price. So they got settled around those levels. Not how many people could have been done that. Maybe some 20% of the people, they are happy that, yes, they got a best rate. But is that the best rate? So of course not. The best rate is here. Now some people, some 10% of the people, what they would do, they would be happily settled that they go and inquire and straight away they go and purchase in the jewelry A itself. Probably they would not went to the other places like B or C. They never searched for any best rate at all. Now, this is what we call as a price discovery. We call this what? Price discovery. It happens in everywhere, right? When you're purchasing a phone, what do you do? You go to Amazon and you go to Flipkart. You'll find the rates. You'll find where I'm getting a discount coupon code. You're booking an air tickets or you're booking in flight tickets. I mean, you're booking in bus tickets. What you'll do? You search, you do the comparison. What you're doing here, what you're doing is you're trying to discover the price. You're trying to find the best rate. We do the same thing when we are trying to go to a mandi and we are trying to purchase any tomatoes, potatoes. We know where we get the best rate. We know that. And we go to that particular place only because we know that whether we might be getting a best service or we might be getting a best rates. People go there. That's how the price discovery happens. The same policy is applicable to the markets also. And that you can visualize using market profile. And that gives you a lot more details about what traders are trying to do in the markets. Because it is a very repetitive behavior. And it is a more of a predicted behavior also. You can find a lot of predicted behavior around those levels. They do the same thing. If you watch the market profile in terms of price and time or volume and time, you'll be able to spot various repeated trading patterns. When I say trading patterns, I'm not talking about head and shoulders or divergences. I'm talking about the trader's behavior in the form of patterns. And you will know what these guys are trying to do from the structure itself. The structure, so every time the price is doing some activity, it creates a market structure. So it creates what this entire structure so far, we can call it as a market structure. Market structure. Now these structure we can separate into two forms of structures. One is a macro structure. So where more crowded activity is happening. Or we can also say like microstructure. Microstructure. So means letter A period high, price went and then it touched, it went back up. Again, it slightly went back up and then it started coming down. Again, coming back up. So this is a kind of structure which was seen. It's a very minute observation. Hardly any trader, they do care about those things. But that is what dominant traders, they try to do in the markets. Dominant traders, they come at a very microscopic level. They come and defend us those specific price. They come and defend. Multitude of times they had defended. Particularly in a low volatile markets like this, these kind of informations are very valuable informations from an intraday point of view or from a positional point of view. Those are very, very valuable informations over here. That tells what kind of traders I'm dealing in today's market. That says like, yes, I'm dealing with the dominant traders. And they're defending the price level multitude amount of time. They're controlling the price. They are the smart money here. Now, such kind of structures, once I observed, I also know that that particular day, 6 times the price has been traded over here. 6 times. That means more people are coming and accepting this as a fair price. Like the gold example that we had seen, like the Amazon and Flipkart mobile search example we had seen. This specific price, more buyers and sellers are engaging and they are finding the value. Now, if you are searching in Amazon and Flipkart, right, only the buyer is doing the price discovery. But in markets, not only the buyers will find a fair price, sellers also come to a fair price. Sellers also look for a fair price for the day. No, you and me, I don't care, because maybe we might be punching 5 lots, 10 lots, 20 lots. You and me, we don't care about that. But big traders, those who are buying at huge quantities, something like 200 lots, 500 lots, 1000 lots, they do care about getting the fair price. Am I getting the fair price for the day? Because they will not be buying today morning and then they will not selling in the evening. It's not like that. When they are buying, they'll be coming, they are buying throughout the day. When they are selling, they have to sell throughout the day, because the quantity they face is huge. The quantity what they deal with is very huge. Just like that, they cannot do the transaction at one single place and then they can run away. Or they press the buy button of 2000 lots and they can run away. They will, when they are buying, they'll be buying throughout the markets. When they are selling, they'll be selling throughout the markets at various price levels. That is how the big traders, they deal in the markets. So what they care about is, they care about, am I getting the best price for the day? So they'll be always in the search of discovery of the best price. Neither it could be a buyer, they might be searching for a best price. The seller, it could be searching for the big price. I'll tell you a very simple example if you want to understand. Let's say you are running a big business. So let's say you're a big businessman, okay? You're a wholesale business. You're running a wholesale business. Wholesale business. Think about that. One's job is to purchase smartphones in bulk. You're purchasing smartphone in bulk. Smartphone. Latest smartphones, you're going to purchase in bulk. But you have to go and do it every day. One day you might get a pricing of 7,500. Someday you might be quoting, maybe the smartphones might be in demand, so 7,700. Sometimes there might be some custom issues, and so rate, you have to pay higher rates, 8,000. Sometimes there will be a huge supply will be there, less takers, so you may even get at 6,000 price levels. Now you know, right? When you are getting a better price, when you're getting a cheaper price, this is the cheaper price, cheaper. Do you get every day cheaper? Absolutely no, right? Not every time will not get cheaper. Only some days there'll be a huge supply will be there. So since huge supply is there, people will try to buy it at cheap rates. But that's not going to happen on every day. Every price is going to be at regular price. You know that this is a normal price. This is a routine price in a normal market conditions. If you go and purchase a wholesale phones you are purchasing in a wholesale, you know that this is going to be the best rate you're going to get. You know what is a fair price for the day. You know that, yes, this is my fair price. You know, right? If you're going and procuring the phones every day, you know what is a fair price, what is the unfair price. So big traders, they always know what is a fair price for the day because they are routinely dealing in the markets. Maybe there are traders who will be trading only 1 or 2 times in a day, or 3 times, 4 times in a day. But the wholesale traders, they know the business. They have to deal with the markets on a daily basis. They know what is a normal price. They know what is a cheaper price. Or sometimes there will be a demand will be there. Maybe demand could be because of lockdown. Suddenly less supply will be there. So more takers will be there. So price will be at demand. Or maybe it could be because of festival. Festival demand will be more, but supply will be very less. So maybe it could be a new smartphone which has been launched, but initially kickstarted with a huge demand. So price will be quoting bit high for the wholesale businessman. I'm just giving, this is a plain vanilla example. Okay. So this is also not going to happen on a regular basis. Does this happen on a regular basis? Of course not. Not every time we're going to go for a lockdown. Not every time we're going to celebrate with a festival. So these are very few days where price could disrupt from the regular price. Sometimes it can quote cheaper with a discount. Sometimes it can be quoted higher. Price will be sold at a premium. But on a regular market conditions, it will be coming at regular price. You know that Normal supply and demand will be matching. So you know what is a fair price. The same thing happens in the markets also. Okay, so big traders, they know what is the fair price for the day. So now I guess you have a fair idea what is a fair price search, what is a price discovery is all about. And this price discovery in markets, it is done by the buyers also, by the sellers also. They combine together, they come to the price discovery. And that is what the basics of the auction market theory itself. Every day, you'll be finding place where you can see that this is previous Friday. You can see that I'll go and show the structure. You can see that how many times that particular price has been traded. How many times you would have been surprised if you have been seeing market profile for the very first time. Just let's count the numbers, number of letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 times price got traded around here. 11 times. Now, who in this world will be buying at the same price repeatedly again and again and again and again? Maybe if you would have watched the candlestick, right, you would have seen as a sideways market. Maybe you start appreciating the sideways market if you are watching in the form of profile structures. Think about the previous day. How many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Almost 9 times. Every half an hour once, at least one time that particular price is coming and getting traded over here. Why it is happening? It's not the one particular day it's happening, right? It is happening on almost every day. If you see that this price discovery, they do happen in the markets. And that provides a substantial information about the market participation. Not that alone, that is one of the information, but market profile explains about variety of nuances happening in the markets. It is like you go and before the cricket match starts, right? You'll get to know what is the condition of the pitch, whether it is a batting pitch or whether it's a fielding pitch. What is the humidity? Which side the wind favors, whether for batsmen, for the bowlers, what kind of bowlers it favors, whether spinners or fast bowlers. So you'll be reading about the pitch, right? It's same thing happens over here. Here you'll get to know the market conditions. Market conditions you will get to know. Market sentiments you will get to know. Indicators will not talk about all those things. Indicator, they will talk about risk reward. That's it. It talks about that. It will not talk about what kind of environment are we in. What kind of traders are competing. Are they weaker hand traders or smart traders? Are they investors or they are traders? Are they intraday traders or short-term traders? Where they are keeping their stop loss. Why do they keep their stop loss levels here? Now, all these specific set of information that you'll be able to learn from here. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Rajendran, by the way. Right? I've been trading this market since 2006 onwards. I started as an investor, but now more of a trader here. My core expertise is on market profile, order flow analytics, and building trading systems and indicator development and building automated trading platforms. That is what I do. I'm a full-time trader as well. I do primarily trading in index futures and options. And of course, I'll do trade in stock futures and stock options as well. Most of my trades are hedged trades these days. And there are times I prefer to trade positionally. When it comes to stocks, I mostly prefer to trade positionally. When it comes to index, it could be anything. It could be a scalping, it could be a trading, it could be an intraday, it could be positional. So I use on a day-to-day basis, I've been using market profile and order flow since 2012 onwards. So it's been almost some 9+ years of journey so far. Every day, I never fail to see the markets through the eyes of market profile and order flow. So I do use market profile and order flow to understand the markets mostly. Right? So when I say understanding, a real understanding, what real traders they do, what real buyers and sellers do, what big traders they do, what big sellers they do, how they do, and why they do. That is what I try to visualize. using market profile. So I use market profile only as a visualization tool. Now on top of that, I use indicators, my own indicators, as a supportive tool to take some certain decisions. Certain decisions I want to check whether the market is entering into some sort of a momentum exhaustion zones or what, when the reversal can happen. And to manage the risk, I use indicators. I don't use indicators to predict. I use market profile to understand the market sentiment. On top of the market sentiment, I try to take a trading decision. Especially short-term trading decision. When I want to take a short-term trading decision for next 2 days or next 3 days, why it could happen, what is the reason behind that, we'll try to uncover those things. That is what I try to do majority of the time. I do use indicators, but indicators are supportive study to my market profile. So now coming back to the topic, let me finish off this structure. See, the day low is broken. Quickly price got back into the range here again. Again, I period started. I period also started balancing over here. Now, this is what a balance is all about. But when the price is balancing means price is spending more time around a particular level. You could see that the price started spending 3 times over here again. So here it started spending how many times? It started spending 3 times over here, 3 times over here, 3 times over here, and 6 times over here. Almost we are at 2 o'clock, very close to 3 o'clock. You see that it's getting now 4 times. So more and more balancing is happening here. Morning price balanced over here and a little balance, and more balancing is happening around these levels. Maybe more and more balance could be happening over here. You can see that volumes started dropping down by the time. I was also observing the volumes as well. So end of the day, what we'll get, we'll be getting a price structure also, we'll be getting a volume structure also. Price structure and volume structure. Now that is where I'm going to come to the real question. So which one is more effective? Should I have to watch the price structure, or should I have to watch the volume structure? So here is the volume structure, right? Volume structure. So if you would have seen that particular day, how many times the price got traded? Almost 5 times got traded over here, 6 times here and 5 times here. So 2 places market had spent in balance. So here there's a mini balance. Here there is a almost 5 times balance over here. Here it is like 3 times balance over here. Price wise, more time is getting spent over here. Here time is spent more, and here volume is spent more over here, volume. And where the highest volume is spent, we call that as a volume point of control. Where the price is spending more, you can see that even the price, it shifted from here to here as well. By end of the day, if you could ask me, if you ask me where more price is getting spent, I'll remove all those things. I'll remove all those information. What was the observation here? Day high is a visual reference level. It's an incomplete auction. Tail is not there. At least day low is better. Incomplete auction. At least day low, we have 2 TPO letter at L period over here. Letter L period, we have 2 letters. But day high, very getting crowded selling only we had seen. Incomplete auction and moreover crowded selling. Moreover, dominant selling, crowded, dominant selling. Notice within that day, how many learnings that we are able to learn from here. Point of control was initially over here. Initially, point of control was here. Now, more and more activity started happening over here. So here we had almost 6 times activity over here. But volume, where the volume has been traded over here, big volumes got traded over here. And next to that, there is one more big volume got traded over here. Now these peaks, so these are peak, right? This peak we called as what? High volume node. This is another peak we called as a high volume node. A day can have multiple peaks. So here you can see that this is one peak, this is another peak. Maybe this could be also considered as another peak. So one peak, second peak, and third peak. Here we have only two peaks, HVN1 and HVN2. So whichever is the highest HVN, we call it as the volume point of control. Okay. A day can have multiple HVNs, but a day can have only one volume point of control where volume is traded the maximum. So at that price level, 15, 8, 20 levels, maximum volume got traded, which is what we call as a volume point of control. Where price has been traded maximum, we call this as a price point of control. I mean, we simply call it as a point of control. When I say simply point of control, I'm talking about price-based point of control. When I'm saying VPOC, I'm talking about volume point of control here. Now, if you want to understand which is more powerful, volume point of control or price, volume-based point of control should I have to trust? Or should I have to trust price-based point of control? Kishore is asking what are those gray and green histograms. So the green histograms talks about where the 70% of the price-based activity got traded, 70%. And it is a software control. If you see price, it shows the price activity where 70% of the price action got traded related to the point of control. It's a software setting. If you say volume, it shows for volume. By default, the software plots for 70% of the activity where it happened, 70% of the letters where it got traded in relation to the point of control, which is nothing but plus or minus 1 standard deviation range. You know the plus or minus 2 standard deviation range. Maybe you would have studied in central limit theorem or normal distribution. It covers 68.2% of probability. So we don't use the same 68.2%. Rather, we use a round figure as 70 instead. Okay. So 1 standard deviation price action for that day where it happened. That's what the metric will show you. We call it as a value area. Right, as Sukhir Singh talks about that, this we call it as a value area where 70% of the trading activity happens. This is what in terms of the, see a small bracket over here. That bracket is where it talks about the 70% of the trading activity, 70% of trading activity in terms of price, not in terms of volume. If I change the software setting from price to volume, naturally I'll be able to see it in volume here. Now, the real question is which is more efficient? Volume-based point of control or price-based point of control? So to understand this, right, you have to understand how the price discovery happens. I'll try to give a simple example so that you can yourself, you can determine which one is more effective. I'll go to the whiteboard here. Imagine there is a new phone is getting launched. Think about that. A new phone is coming into the store, maybe a digital store. We can call this and a specific Android application. Android phone is coming in. Android phone. Android phone is launched. A new Android phone is launched. You know that every time they are launching, they'll be always having variants. They'll be having a low-end variants, mid-size variants, high-end variants. Not only in Android phones, but it be in cars or any, most of the products where people prefer higher editions. Let it be a laptop, there'll be always low configurations, high configurations. But think about that, a phone is getting launched at an MRP rate of rupees, let's say at 10,000 rupees, the phone got launched. The moment a new phone is launched, right, you don't expect discounts from the stores because it's a new phone. There'll be overhype marketing, all those things will be there. So what you don't get is you don't get a discount there. So generally people will accept that as a price, and then many buyers will flock and buy that phone. Maybe let's say 10,000 people buy only one quantity at that specific price. They're not getting any discount. But most of the people agreed that there is a fair price. 10,000 people agreed that, yes, I'm okay to buy this at so and so price. I'm just buying, I'm ready to buy this Android phone, and I am agreeing to buy this particular phone at a 10,000 as the rate. Many people agreed. This is in terms of number of people. Sometimes what will happen, some people want to go for a higher variant. Maybe this could be a mid-size variant. Some people want to go for a higher variance. So they are ready to spend. So let's say like 12,000 rupees is the higher variant. It's a higher variant. Higher variant with more extra features. They are also purchasing one quantity, but maybe that could be only 2,000 people are buying it. Number of people, only 2,000 people are buying it. No, not these are retail people who are buying at single pieces, they are buying it. So sometimes what could happen? A wholesale distributor, he's buying in bulk. Maybe let's say like he's only hardly one guy was purchasing, let's say 1,000 phones, or maybe we can say like 10 people. 10 people purchase 1,000 phones at 9,000 rupees. What is the size they are purchasing? 1,000 quantity. Since they are purchasing 1,000 quantity, right, they are getting a best rates. Accordingly, maybe the mobile manufacturer is willing to sell at 9,000 rupees happily because he's getting a one-time payment from everybody is buying 1,000 phones, 10 people are buying it. So 10,000 phones are getting sold in one shot. In one container, he's sending everything. Chalo, take it. That's what he's offering to the dealers. So this is more of a dealer pricing. So dealer is getting a discount because you know that he's purchasing in bulk. Maybe one bulk dealer is coming and purchasing. Let's say he's only one guy. He's purchasing 20,000 phones at 7,500 rupees. Maybe he's a big dealer. So big dealer, he is purchasing in a very big block. Big block he is purchasing and he is getting a deep discount. Why? Because the Android smartphone owner is happy to sell him at 7,500 rupees because he's going to do business for him. So he's going to ready to sell at a deep discount. Now you tell me, among all these things, which is a fair price? Now, I'm not talking about who is getting a cheaper rates. I'm not talking about cheaper rate at all. I'm not also talking about higher price at all. I am talking about where more people are spending more time in purchasing at that specific price. Is it 10,000 rupees? Is it 7,500? 10,000, right? Normally, because that is where more people are agreeing. Here, only one people is agreeing. He is purchasing 20,000. He is doing more volumes. The big dealer is doing more volume. But is it a fair price? Is it a fair price? Is this a fair price? Maybe it is a fair price for him, but not for as a market as a whole. If you see that many people are agreeing, 10,000 people are agreeing to purchase 10,000 smartphones. So this is more people are agreeing here. Whereas only one guy is agreeing to 7,500. We don't call it as agreement, right? Just because one guy purchased 7,500, we cannot say like 7,500 is the base price. Think about other 10,000 people. Other 10,000 people are saying like, boss, 7,500, how it could be a fair price? Everybody bought at 10,000. Maybe he bought only at cheaper rates only. He bought a cheaper rate, but fair price is the MRP price only. So now the same logic we try to apply in market profile as well. So which one is where more people are coming and doing engagement in terms of number of trades, in terms of number of times? The engagement is happening over here. The engagement itself happening in terms of time. It is happening over here in terms of time, maybe in terms of price also. Once again, in terms of time and in terms of price, it is happening over here, price and time. But in terms of volume, it is happening over here. Maybe some big sellers would have been sold here. Some big sellers would have been sold here. That is the reason. Maybe some big dealers, big sellers who are dealers, who are wholesale dealers, they could have been sold around those levels. That is the reason volume itself very high. But where more people are coming to an agreement, they came to an agreement at two places, but software decides the point of control. More time is getting spent over here. That is why point of control is different, volume is different. So volume says something else. Volume says where big trading activity happened. There are many cases where the point of control is there. That is where the volume point of control also, in many cases. But not necessarily in all the days, because there are times what happens. Big sellers will be coming at the top, whereas more trading activity would have been happened over here. More people agree this as a fair price. Think about this case. This case, what is happening? Price-based point of control also same. Volume point of control is slightly different from those levels. Which one provides meaningful information? Price-based point of control is what talks about where more people are agreeing. Volume point of control always talks about what dealer had done. Maybe volume point of control always talks about what big traders had done. Not necessarily in every case. If you think about this case, here more people are also agreeing. Volume also confirming at the same price. Both price and volume are at the same levels. This generally happens. But there are very few places price-based price-based structure and volume-based structure could mismatch. Why? Because of the same examples from the smartphone example between the dealer pricing and the retail pricing. So which is more powerful if you ask me? The price-based point of control is what talks about where more people are coming for an agreement. Where more people are coming for an agreement, for me, that is the fair price. Just because one guy or two guys are coming and buying, we don't consider this as a fair price. Maybe this could be some dealer pricing. This could be dealer pricing. Okay, somebody who bought in a huge quantity or somebody sold in a huge quantity. That somebody is not the markets. Markets are comprised of all the traders, including you and me. Okay, so from that angle, where more time is spent, that is the fair price. Where more volume has happened, not necessarily it has to be a fair price. Sometimes, as I said, many cases it is going to be a fair price because more time is spent, more volumes we will get. But some cases, if dealers are coming and dealing in the markets, you could find a disagreement between the price-based fair price and volume-based point of control. There could be totally some slight deviations or even major deviations also can happen. So many people are asking, what does the red bar indicate in volume? So those volumes inside that, you could be seeing some individual volumes here. They're nothing but relative volumes over here. Okay. So what are the indications over here? The indications are like maybe dominant sellers are there. They might be temporarily selling down, but eventually get ready to wait for price to come back and clear those levels. And that is what it also happened, right? So that's traders, they sold, but hardly they sold for 1 or 2 days. And then price had totally, if I go to the last Friday's activity, let's say last Friday or last Saturday, I'll try to do one thing. Try to stop it and then I'll go back to the last Friday's activity. Just give me a second. I mean, in the meantime, there's a small promo here. Let it get loaded. So we are doing an almost 75 plus hours of training on live sessions plus theoretical sessions. Absolutely, there's a small mistake here. It's not 75 plus hours. It is supposed to be 150 plus hours. Right? So almost 3 months of live mentoring that we are doing starting from 15th May, particularly on market profile and particularly on order flow and both AMI broker trading strategies and discretionary trading strategies. We're going to do a kind of a fusion approach, particularly how you can combine market profile, order flow, and indicator based trading, how to take a trading decision from a very, very short term perspective, how to understand a particular day's price action. That exercise, we're going to do it for almost 150 plus hours of training. We're going to do it, which includes both live sessions also, theoretical sessions also. Live sessions we will be doing approximately some 30 to 40 hours, and the rest, all the 120 plus hours are mostly on live training. Almost 60 days. We're going to practice almost 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon. All those 60 days are mostly market timings only. Of course, every market trading day, you'll be learning the nuances of market profile, order flow, how to read it, how I can read that particular day, where I can find a trading opportunity, how long to wait for the trading opportunity, how to recognize trading opportunity using indicators, how to recognize trading opportunity using market profile and order flow. Last week, we talked about a couple of opportunities using order flow, right? We also learned what order flow is all about. Likewise, more in-depth analysis, more in-depth ideas about what is happening in the markets, how I should read the markets, how I can read any kind of market situations is what you can learn here. Obviously, yes, you can go to tradezilla.co and you can go and learn more about it. Or if you are already in the Febinars portal, there also you can watch the complete agenda over here. All right, now coming back to the topic, I think the data should have been loaded by now. Yeah, here is the data. Now, what happened here is last Friday, definitely a very interesting price action. And last 2 days of price action and price it's still trying to rotate inside the range. Now, going forward, what I am thinking about the market is what I want to explain here. Usually, I'll start my analysis with the top-down analysis, monthly and then weekly, and then finally get into the daily time frame. So for monthly, weekly, and daily time frame, I prefer to use a simple candlestick approach or simple bar chart approach is what I prefer to use. I don't use market profile to look into monthly or weekly or daily. I'll take a plain vanilla candlestick charts. I'll go to the Nifty, something like for Nifty. I'll go to Nifty time frame, Nifty futures. You can see that straight away it's a one-way ticket. So far, it is price keeps on going up only. And weekly also. Weekly, if you could see the weekly last, starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, if I ignore the freak tick, it's just a freak tick. In fact, last week we discussed about this freak tick in the order flow section. The people who haven't seen it, just go back to Febinars and enroll for order flow as a scalping tool. Like we discussed about a little bit on scalping in the previous section. But what you can see from here is weekly itself balancing and price is trading inside a 400-point range. Price is trading within that 400-point range. This been happening for almost multiple weeks. The activity is happening. Now, if I go to the daily time frame, you could see that the price is rotating, price is balancing, price is totally running inside the range for a very long period of time here. Almost this rotation started from June onwards. Since June onwards, price has been keep on rotating like this. And now that rotation is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Volatility is totally coming down. Maybe if you're watching the markets half of the day, it is like a dull, boring markets, as if like you can watch 2 movies in a day. That kind of dull, boring markets. Yeah, some places there was excitement happening. At least last 4 days, some amount of excitement was happening. Otherwise, these places, you know that markets are totally dull, boring price actions. Nothing much was happening. Totally frustrating market environment. Some volatility, some enthusiasm returned back in the market. That's what we can say. But still, overall, the trend is still going sideways. Immediate trend is on the upside. Immediately, trend is focusing on the upside only. I think maybe next week we might be targeting the 16,000 levels. But at the same time, I'm also still feeling that the current market activity, what are the market activity which is right now the markets are doing. Now, this is my view. From my view, from the way the market has been doing the current market context, I'm just clearly looking into that. I'm just expecting a price action. Last week, if you remember, we expected a panic price action and we are followed by a recovery. That is what I had explained in the previous week. Those who haven't attended the previous week session, go to the order flow section where you can go and learn why we had taken this kind of approach. Now, the same approach is what I'm going to maintain. Same expectation is what I'm just expecting price to complete that 60K mark. But at the same time, I'm expecting Nifty to hit a resistance somewhere near 16,100 or 16,200. I'm expecting some sort of a resistance. And after that, maybe July series, my expectation is like price straight drop is what I'm anticipating. So I'm just expecting this balance to break on one side and followed by that a price action maybe towards 15,300 or 15,200 is what I'm expecting. So July series could be a bit turbulent. And that is what I'm expecting over here. I'm looking into some sort of a euphoric market activity. Right now, we are going through a phase of euphoria. That's euphoria is going to start. Maybe it might run for 2 days. It might run for 1 day. It might run for 4 days. But what right now we are going to experience in the market is a kind of a euphoric markets. Where more people are going to rejoice, more people are going to be happy for a couple of days, right? So particularly short-term investors, they're going to be happy for, it's going to be make them to get into that euphoric state. And you know that is where most of the tops would have been made. So somewhere near to 16,100 or 16,200, I'm not very sure about that, but that is where I'm just expecting a euphoric sentiment. That euphoric sentiment can go to any kind of levels. But in terms of time, I'm expecting markets maybe to top out in this week. It's coming week. I'm talking about the week from 26th to 30, somewhere near to that. I'm expecting some sort of a top to form. It can be 16,100, it can be 16,200. I'm not sure about that, but my rough estimate is that we could be topping very close to that levels. But however, the down move, which is going to be very swift, very fast, I don't think we are going to take much of a time there. So that is what I'm just thinking over here. Most of the time-based rotations has been over. Now, maybe what could be the next trigger point? If you ask me, maybe if we are talking about some 600, 700 points, like just like that, a market cannot crash without any context. Maybe it could be some sort of global trigger, or it could be some local trigger. Maybe the local trigger, if we are talking about local triggers, then most likely the next immediately when the July series is starting, I think we are not getting any macroeconomic fundamentals at this point in time, right? Let me check further. Sometimes you have to go back and check the tradingeconomics.com. Are there any RBI policy announcements? Sometimes policy announcements might be bringing, so that is mostly coming only in August series. So August is one thing. So we are in July. So August is one thing, that this is August 6th, right? August 6th means, so maybe the markets might be holding till August 6th. That could be a possibility. Maybe prior to that market, I'm expecting some sort of a top. And maybe August 6th could be a place where maybe market might go a bit of sideways. Maybe that could be a chance. That could be a chance that the downtrend can start anytime. But I'm expecting a top to hit coming week, a top to hit, and maybe some sideways price action, doing some crazy price actions over here and doing something like this, maybe August 6th. So this is one expectation. Second expectation, market's not giving much of a time. Price goes up, straight away it comes down. This is scenario number one. I doubt scenario number one could happen, because generally, if at all any nearest announcement, RBI policy announcement is something there. So maybe price goes and peaks. And that's my second expectation, and try to do some sideways activity. And one fine day, 6th of August, or maybe near to 6th of August, or post 6th of August, we should start coming back down, maybe somewhere around 15,300 or 200. This kind of price action is what I'm just giving high preference with the current market situation. Upside looks like seriously limited. The way the price action is happening, the way the euphoric is building in the last 3 days, the context is getting more and more weaker. So definitely one should take a cautious approach in August, particularly short-term investors, right? But yes, immediately markets are positioned on the long side. That could run for 2 days, that could run for 3 days, that could maximum run for 4 days. But somewhere this price action will stop, and they'll start reversing back in time, and they will be start, most likely I'm expecting 15,200 to 300 kind of levels. This is the level I'm expecting in August series, right? So this is my case 2 scenario. Both the scenarios I'm just pointing to down, but immediately the auction is likely to be above 16,000 plus levels. Bring on the 16,000 hats and bring on that celebration at 16K plus level. But in terms of time, we might be staying above 16,000 levels for 3-4 days. And then after RBI policy announcement, maybe this is my wild guess, we should give up to the downside. Right? So remember, market itself dull, boring, weaker. Any event, if it's going to impact, it could be a global event, or it could be some macro event, it could be economic event that could be impacting the market. Not necessarily it should be RBI, but anything which is near to the site is the RBI, is the policy decision. That is the only near thing which is there. It could be because of any global events which is happening also. That could be a reason behind that, and RBI could be an additional trigger in that case. That is also a possibility. So somewhere between this 1 and 2 is what I'm just trying to fit in. And that is how I'm also going to position myself in my trades. So Raj Mani is saying, when you think you should cover short and going long, and why, as you tweeted? When you think you should cover shorts, yeah, I last week, right? I think maybe what I'm talking about this week. I also tweeted that last week I said I'm bearish in Nifty. And then I said I stopped my bearishness view here. I'm just trying to reverse to longs. In fact, I took longs also. So here, let us say, this is my view, which I posted on June 20th. I said, like, I was earlier having a bearish view. In fact, the same bearish view is what we talked about in the order flow session. I think in the last 15 minutes, we talked about that, more or less. I said I'm just resting my bearish case because here I have to turn to bullish. So now this bullishness, I used one of my tool to take a decision. I used an Harley tool. That tool is called as extreme indications. I do combine with market profile sentiment a lot. And last 2 times, I got some interesting signals there. So it's called extreme indications. Most likely, I prefer to use it on a Harley time frame. So particularly if you are using this green color indications, those are mostly overheated selling. So you know that maybe everything is going good, but this is one thing which I used as a risk management tool. I said, right, I use indicator as a risk management tool. This is one indicator saying me that, hey, get out of the position. Trend is still down, but there is a very high chances are there, like maybe some 300 to 400 points of counter trend reactions might happen. And that's the reason I switch from shorts to longs, because the context is also not powerful. I'm seeing more and more seller who are traders. So I thought like maybe I should go and trade against the level. So the crowded activity, which we talked about that. This is the crowded activity we talked about that, right? When? Monday, we had seen a lot of crowded selling, but we know that this is not institutional selling. This is more of a traders who are coming and selling. Maybe some wholesale dealers are coming and selling there. The wholesale traders are coming and selling there. Yes, they took the price down, but remember they are traders, as I said. When price moves in their favor, 200, 300 points, they're likely to book profits. They book the profits. If they start booking the profits, what will happen? They have to turn to a buyer. If they start turning into buyer, what will happen? Price will start coming back up. And moreover, along with that, many weaker hand sellers also they came and sold. Many weak sellers also they came and sold. That is why we are seeing a weaker point of control over here. If you could see that there is a weaker point of control and a lot of crowded sellers over here, more and more weak sellers, they came over here, weak sellers. Nth minute, it's getting more and more weak sellers. So if these people started booking profits, what will happen? They have to turn to buyer. So they started turning into buyers. And these weak sellers, they don't have any choice, but they are also coming and exiting. So price started coming back up. Where the level they started, price comes back to the same level itself. Why the price come back? To complete the auction. It's an incomplete auction. Now the price is coming back to complete the auction here. Again, I'm expecting some more because more and more weaker levels are here as well. Last week we talked about this weaker levels. But at the same time, I'm also expecting maybe this could be like slow, steady uptrend maybe. But once the 16,000 levels, it's anything above 16,000 plus levels, I'm going to consider that as an euphoric scenario. Somewhere this madness will stop in terms of time. It will stop. Probably I'm expecting this to stop in July series itself. And August series, I'm expecting major weakness. I don't know when it's going to start, first week or second week, max to max, second week, it should start building the selling pressure from there on. Let's see. Right? So that's my view. So I haven't taken any hedge at all this time. Generally, I used to take a hedge here, but I try to trade spreads. But spreads, there is no premium at all left. So I traded only nakedly only. I traded this uptrend also nakedly, this downtrend also nakedly, this uptrend also. This uptrend I traded nakedly, this downtrend I traded nakedly, this uptrend also I traded nakedly only. I traded in the money options typically. So I don't find any suitable hedge. Out of money hedges are like 9 rupees, 5 rupees. So it's very difficult to purchase any out of money options. So I have to trade and naked in the money options. So if at all in a reasonable premium, reasonable volatility is there, maybe there is a good point to go for spreads or calendars. I mean, diagonals, not calendars, but diagonals. But particularly these kind of markets, right? Absolutely no premium is there at all. Even at 4 strike wide, there is no premium is there. Weekly, absolutely nothing is there. At least monthly, there are some premiums, but weekly, there are no premiums at all. So I try to close the position because I know that theta decay is going to happen. So I close the position weekend. So Monday, I'll try to initiate one more time. I might be mostly focused towards longs only immediately, but at the same time, I'm also flexible enough to reverse. Whenever the price is reversing, I'll also reverse here. I'll give more importance to the weekly Harley sentiment. My Harley sentiment is so far positive. Harley sentiment is so far positive here. It's been running on the positive side. Maybe when it is turning negative, I will also like to turn here. Right? So earlier selling started from here. I also turned to sell. I turned positive before my indicator turning positive here because I was looking into this exhaustion. So I had to give up my shorts. I turned to longs. I also give importance to my daily sentiment. So I always do a multi-time frame approach when it comes to indicators, when it comes to market profile as well. Market profile, I use only 30 minutes, but daily I prefer to watch daily sentiment. Daily sentiment last Friday turned positive. So I'm expecting this positivity to remain positive for the next 4 days. I'm not going to expect any quick turns in the markets yet until the expiry is going to be over. Maybe once the expiry is over, maybe after some time later on, there could be some selling pressure where I'm going to find that euphoric scenario. We are in the process of euphoric scenario. When that euphoric scenario is getting overheated and more frustrations is happening, but still a lot of enthusiasm in the markets, maybe that is a place we have to turn to a seller. As of now, I'm not going to be a seller. Maybe I may not be a seller for next 2-3 days also. But after looking into the market activity, I will revise myself to be on the sell side. And that is going to be, maybe that is where I'm just expecting some quick correction towards 15,200 or 15,300 in the August series. That is going to be my game plan as of now. All right. Bank Nifty, a lot of bullishness to show because the one thing is like HDFC Bank is it's a news-based sell-off. You know that news-based sell-off is something which is not a one. So I'm just expecting an price to come back towards 15,500 when it comes to HDFC. And this is again my view here. I'm just thinking that more and more weaker hands are selling this HDFC Bank and news-based selling happen. So banks could be start showing its strength maybe next 2 weeks ahead of that RBI policy announcement, right? Banks should be start showing bullishness. Maybe on or before RBI policy announcement, we might be, or maybe towards that expiry with banks. HDFC Bank, particularly HDFC Bank, is likely to get into some form of an 1540 kind of levels. And ICICI Bank right now it's at euphoric scenario. Last Friday it had shown some clear-cut euphoric scenario over here. A lot of emotional buyers that came in. I'm not much confident about ICICI Bank going longs here. Maybe any longs which is coming in, it's going to be a short-term longs. I'm expecting ICICI Bank to top out a bit faster, but HDFC Bank is what I'm expecting more strength at the current juncture. So Bank Nifty itself, I'm expecting Bank Nifty to reach something like 36,000 kind of levels in the coming days. Most likely the key driver could be, like I'm just thinking that the key driver could be towards 36,000 levels. Definitely banks had shown enough strength. So I'm expecting Bank Nifty to bottom out here and start moving towards 36,000 levels positionally. And that's the view. All right. So I hope you learned something new about market profile and volume profile. I'm sure that you might be very confident in understanding what is more important, market profile or volume profile. What does a volume profile talks about? That when you're seeing a volume profile which is showing high volumes and market profile showing high volume, high in terms of time, you know where to give more preference and why it is so powerful. You'll get to know that, you know, which is a fair price at least. Should I have to trust the market profile or should I have to trust the volume profile? So let me stop the session here. And maybe next week we'll try to find more interesting topics. So the details will be announced in tomorrow's Febinars portal. So stay tuned to the Febinars portal. If in case you haven't downloaded the Febinars application, please go back and download the mobile application. So it's available in the Android store. You can go back and download that Android store. And I thank you once again for coming down and attending the session. Thank you.